All right. It says we're
Go
live.
time.
We'll be live.
Heck yeah.
Um, Let me make sure that it's showing up on the TV here. It's normally a few seconds behind popping up, but looks like everything should be good. Um, yeah. So tonight, you'll notice that Wesley is not here. We have Austin from Corrupt with us here tonight. Make you a little bigger here. Um,
I don't need any help in being bigger. I'm good. Thanks.
me either. Yeah, I decided that tonight, since Wesley couldn't be here with us, that it would be nice to have somebody else on who shares the same headaches and struggles and strifes and awesomeness that we do on a weekly basis, and maybe to get a little bit of insight from another side of the aisle there.
For
Um,
sure. Yeah. It's definitely a pleasure to be on. It's always fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely glad to have you. So, anybody who's in the comments in the live chat, make sure you post up and ask Austin some questions. Um, I don't want this to turn into an interview. It doesn't need to be that, and it never is that on our normal Monday night shows. But I do have a couple things I'd like to ask you, like to get your take on. But
Sure.
otherwise, it's just a general hangout and BS sessions usually.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with that. I'm all for that.
Right on. Um, So I guess first thing, I'm sure that every single person in the chat knows who you are, but maybe give a little bit of a rundown, a little bit of a history of how long you've been doing this, or what all you got going on now.
Yeah, sure. If anybody knows, I'm Austin Williams from Corrupt Carbon Works. I've been in the RC hobby since, let's see, I would say maybe 10 years old. So I started out in the hobby, asphalt racing, then carpet racing, anything from circle track to obviously road course and things. Never got into buggies. Um, After that, I got out of the hobby there for a while, just kind of focused on hot rods and such. And then my brother introduced me into the crawling scene and took me to my first event, which was K&K. Wow, what year was that? Maybe 2006, 7. I can't remember. And then after that, it just kind of blossomed from there. I got my first SCX10, and then started doing little things here and there, and it turned into well, I wanted a lighter chassis. I actually ran Brazen for a while when I first got into the first noodle chassis. That's what everybody called it. So
Yep,
I ran
yep.
the steel noodle chassis for about a year, and then I wanted something lighter. And I sat down with graph paper, drawing something up, and the Land Shark was the first thing that came. We cut that, and then it's been history ever since. So now we have uh, developed and blossomed into this gigantic headache sitting behind me of products and and
Yep,
such.
yep,
But
yep.
I can't be happier where we're at, and can't be more blessed with the community and how much they've accepted the corrupt into a lot of households, and made a lot of friends, and most call family now. So can't complain.
Yep, absolutely. And you just moved.
We did. So we lived in a little tiny house, 800 square feet for the longest time. Corrupt quickly outgrew the basement in that house, and then
Mhm.
went to a three office in town. And then while we were building the house that we're in now, and now it's back into the basement, but of the new home, much larger. So
Yep,
here we
cool.
are.
Yep, absolutely. I think I'm in about my shop's about 2,800 square feet here, but I've got very large machines in here,
Yeah,
and I have enough room that like my truck is pulled inside next to me here because the weather's not being very nice outside right now. So
yeah.
um,
It was
yeah,
snowing
I
pretty
could
good
go.
earlier today.
Yeah, I could go a little bit smaller as far as shop size go, but I don't want to. Like,
Yeah, I understand that. Yeah, if I had some of the like
Yeah.
the Tormac and stuff like that, like you do. Yeah, you would definitely
Well,
need
even
more stuff,
that's the
more
smallest
space.
machine on. Yeah, that's the smallest machine on my shop floor now.
Jesus.
Yeah, the
That's,
lathe, the footprint of the lathe is like 24 feet long by 8 or 9 feet deep and 7 feet tall.
jeez. Wow.
Yeah, it's large and in charge. It takes up some square footage in the middle of the floor. So the worst
That's
part,
goals though.
yeah, the worst part about it is that like it can only go in certain places on the shop floor because the forklift required to get it to where you need it to go can only go so far in the shop.
Yeah.
So it kind of I didn't want it where it is, but that's kind of where it had to go in
I
relation
got
to other things because that's a 16,000 pound machine. So
Yeah.
it took a large forklift to get it on the floor.
Yeah. It
Uh,
doesn't move easy either.
no, it broke the concrete apron. The forklift broke the
Jeez.
concrete apron in front of the shop getting up into the door. So that was a shenanigan in itself.
Phew, I bet. Wow.
So yeah. So anyway, that's a little bit of a rundown of Austin, and yeah, Austin. We get along on the backside very well. Austin used to run our stuff, and we've met in person at least one event,
Oh yeah.
and we've always had a pretty good working relationship. I don't think there's ever been a time that we've squabbled about anything. So
No.
yeah, so it's nice to have somebody else on board here that goes through the same struggles daily that that Wesley and I do.
I wish sometimes people understood or knew some of the stuff that we deal with, but it comes with the job, I guess.
Yeah, it does. It does. I think actually tomorrow morning will be the first time since Black Friday that we'll be caught up with 0 pending orders. So today was a very busy day trying to get finalized before Wesley left to
Yeah.
go on a little bit of a vacation before the end of the year here. And I mean, everybody wants their stuff before Christmas too, but sometimes it's difficult.
Yeah.
And the last couple weeks, thankfully, have been busy.
Yeah.
Because I don't know about you, but things do slow down usually, like October to November for us.
Yep.
Um,
For sure.
And I know
That always happens at that time of year until we get into the deep winter to where everyone's building, and then the orders start coming back in. So yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So that's the end of the normal comp season to everybody building new truck season is usually a little slower. And with you moving, I'm sure that was a little bit of a blessing, but also a little bit of a curse because money doesn't flow when there's no orders coming in. But
Yeah. And it hit like we were hoping, and the way that our timeline was proposed to us, it was going to hit perfect to where right after we left Maryland, fall crawl, we were going to bring the trailer back full of. I put everything as much as I could from the office in the trailer when we went up to fall crawl, and then as we came back, we were going to be able to move that straight into the basement of the house. Well, when we got back, they told us it was going to be another 2, possibly 3 weeks before I was even able to start moving it in. So it kept the company shut down that in complete time because one, I didn't want to unpack the whole trailer into the old office, which at that time I still had, but then just to pack it up the following week or the week after, because it takes almost a full week to get it organized, re-inventoried from a big event like that. So by the time I would have had it re-inventoried, would have been the time to pack it all right back up and then shoot down to the new house. So,
yeah,
like you said, it was a little bit of time off. It was nice to have that, but at the same time, all it did was just keep pushing us back and building it up, bulking it up, and that was just like
and the emails didn't stop either.
emails didn't stop, the messages didn't stop, the posts didn't stop, and then finally once we talked to our home builder and I told them, I was like, look, you have my business on a complete standstill right now. And he was like, and they said, okay, well, you can move the business into the basement. We'll allow that. You just can't move into the home yet. So I started getting the business set up downstairs. And then by the time that was done, the internet company still wasn't around. So I was pulling internet from my mother-in-law's with a long reach, router plus an extender. And it was enough to ship. And that's about it. Nothing else. So it was just headache after headache, but
Yeah.
it happened.
Yeah. I can't imagine doing all that. That's a whole lot of shenanigans.
Yeah.
When I moved into my shop, thankfully I had a 3-car garage at my house, and so everything was kind of in a largish garage. And then when I got my shop, it was like a 1-day thing where I moved everything to the shop in 1 day and was up and running again.
Yeah.
Within 36 hours, everything was back to normal.
Yeah.
Other than the organization type stuff, setting up your shipping area and setting up computers and whatever, but everything was functional.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the same way once we got into the basement. I mean, you see like the U-line racks and then the grid wall behind me. We had to get that all set up and then get the products out on it. And, it was a big fiasco for sure. And then finally unload the trailer and then organize it. And it was nonstop for a very long time.
Yep, absolutely. Man, I can't imagine doing that. So, and like, when I moved the shop, that was 6 years ago. So the difference in volume and the difference in the product that we offer from 6 years ago to now,
Oh yeah.
I don't know that it would have gone that smooth now versus 6 years ago.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. When I packed up the office, I mean, it pushed my my wife to her limits. It pushed me to the limits. You just don't realize how much stuff you accumulate in the years of trying to build a business. I bought these parts to try, they didn't work. Well, keep them, they're still good, put them in a bag, and then all of a sudden you've got 10 boxes of that stuff. And I've cut this, it didn't fit, but keep it, it'll still work. And all of a sudden it was just so much stuff. And then at the end of the day, I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. And so it came down to the point to where, do I move it and it just stays in that box till randomly 4 years down the road, I'm like, oh, hey, I got that. No, I just started chucking, It was, and that's what happened. But when we got here, it made it a lot nicer to be able to put all the products out and not have to go through everything again.
Yeah. When I moved, I had a 20-yard dumpster that basically 2/3 of my garage went into. I was just like, you know what?
I'm done.
Yeah. 2/3 of a socket set.
Yeah.
Nope.
Right.
Like,
and the worst part
was Chinese Allen wrenches gone.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
already stripped, but the other end was good. And you're like,
Yep.
no, that's fine. I'll keep that.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah.
But yeah, and the worst part is we did that with the office, and then we had to do it with the house. So it was just like a hammer and a hammer. You're just like, oh my god, just please let up a little bit. But it finally, we're into the new house. We're kind of settling in. We still have some stuff at the old house, which we're going to rent out. You got to fix it up and rent it out. But it's still, there's some stuff in the garage and the basement, just little piddly stuff. But yeah, you're like, I don't want to take anything else into the new house. I like that it's open. I like that it's clean. I don't want anything else in there.
Yeah. I think it took me 3 or 4 months before I actually listed my old house for sale, just because of that same reason. Like, I don't know what I'm going to do with that couch. I don't know what I'm going to do with that dresser. I don't know what I'm going to do with whatever. Yeah. Before I finally was just like, I've paid an extra mortgage for 4 months for no reason. Like,
just gotta go. Time. Yeah, we started just bringing stuff and throwing it on the big burn pile here out on the land. We're like, I don't care. Couches, tables, I don't care. Just burn it.
Burn it all.
Get tired of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so team drivers. I see you posted up a team driver application. It's about
Yeah.
that time for us too. We normally Wesley normally handles that stuff, but he normally starts looking at that between now and like the first or second week of the year. And he and I both keep an eye on social medias. We keep an eye on who's being helpful, who's posting a lot, who's you know not that winning comps or whatever is a major factor, but it's more the positive image, the positive attitude, the helping other people, and I think you follow that same kind of theme here. But you also have now, and I did last year on the website, have a team driver application to be able to fill out. I guess kind of walk through your selection process. I imagine it's probably pretty similar, but
Yeah, I
walk
mean,
through it.
you pretty much nailed it on the head. So we did it on the internet. It just makes it a little easier. They all hit one basically big email for me, and then
Yep.
through that process, I actually take every one of those. I'll read them right away most of the time, but during that process, I take every one of them, copy and paste them. Usually, put them on like a PDF or even on a Word, whatever, and then I put it in we have a team drivers page, and I list
Yep.
it all in there for all of the current team drivers to go through, read, see if anything stands out, if anything pops in their head, and and they're the same way. I'm like you, and they're the exact same. They watch everybody. If they go to an event, they know who's helping. They know, like you said, winning. I could care less if they come in last or if they come in first. I'm there to have team drivers that support the hobby 100%. I'm there to have team drivers that'll help anybody that has any problems if they're able to fix it or help them. I don't care what they drive, what they run. This hobby is about everybody getting together, having a good time, and that's what I want
Yep.
my team drivers there to do. Um, I've been blessed enough to have great team drivers that have put themselves on podiums a lot, and that wasn't the deciding factor of having them in or on the team. The deciding factor was I've seen them at competitions helping either the competition, helping the drivers set gates, whatever, take score, that type thing.
Yep.
So the main
Speaking of your
thing.
team drivers, I see one of your team drivers popped up in the chat here. So
Oh, yep.
April's in here.
April's in. I think I seen Colby in here
Yeah.
earlier. Yep, Colby's up there.
Yeah. Colby's in here too. Yeah.
Yep. So and it's the same way, kind of like you nailed it. I look for people that are going to help push this hobby, keep it the
Yep.
great, basically atmosphere it is when you go to a competition. So
Yep.
if I see you at an event, if you drive a Reaper, and then all of a sudden I see you sitting there arguing with a judge or yelling or hooting and hollering, guess what? You're probably never going to make the team. I'm just going to
Yeah.
say it now.
I would much rather you get last place and had a fantastic time than to win
Absolutely.
and argue with people the whole time.
Yep. And and I've seen my team drivers, I've seen so many other people, I've seen brazen team drivers, anybody, somebody else is on course, they broke, they say, has anybody got something? And they're digging in their bags, grip,
Yep.
here, get so you can finish, and
Yep.
that's what you're kind of looking for out there. You're not looking
it
for
could
the guy
cost
that's
me
in first.
It could cost me $100 to get that guy's truck back on course, and I don't care. It is what
Yep.
it is.
It's the same way.
So-
I tell them, I say, bring it up to the table, and I'll pull
Yep.
stuff right off the peg hooks. If you just need a rod
Yep.
in, there's 12. I don't care. I'm popping one out and I'm putting it in. Rest will go
Yep.
in my bag, whatever. It doesn't care. I'd rather see you out there, especially if you traveled a crazy distance. I want to see you out there. I want to see you drive. I want to see you comp, have a good time, enjoy it. If you're driving my products, that's great. If you're not, I don't care.
We're gonna
go
fix
out,
it.
have a good time. Yeah, exactly. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. Absolutely. So we're basically on the same page there. How do you handle the unfortunate task of having to release a team driver? Not for any negative reasons, not because they were doing anything wrong, but mainly basically because they weren't doing really anything anymore. Maybe they weren't in the hobby anymore. Maybe they just had a bad year, off year, whatever. But these people become friends, right? They're family.
They basically become family.
yeah, so man, it's really really hard to go, hey man, like we can really still be good friends here, but maybe we need to open this spot up for somebody else.
Yeah. So
Because I don't want to be the team that has 100 team drivers. I want to be the team that has 20 good team drivers.
yeah, yeah. So when it comes down to that, I've had some of like the original team drivers that I had at the very beginning, and um, a lot of them now that I've had a couple from the very first draft, I guess you could say. Sean Cook's still here, and things like that. But some of those other guys, when it came down to it, just like you said, when they're not in the hobby anymore, or if they're not showing up, or not showing up, but not just there's no presence of them anywhere. At that
Yeah.
point, you just bring it up like, hey, if you're not in it, you're not in it. That's fine. I have no hard feelings. I
Yeah.
know, people get busy, life changes, things like that. So when you bring that up, you just let them know, like, this is not, a
It's
personal
not
thing
personal.
here. Exactly.
Let's move our conversations to another chat. Like
Exactly. Like I get it, and most of the time when that happens, what I seen from the previous ones, they actually like would leave the team chat because
I've had a
if any,
couple do that.
yeah, if anybody's been busy enough, and and at that time they messaged me saying, "Hey, I haven't been active. I just don't feel like I deserve to be into that chat, and things like that." And and you talk
Yeah.
to them and you say, "Yeah, I understand. No hard feelings. Blah blah. This is what it is." But in that aspect, the team I have now is outstanding. This past year has been just an absolute stress monster on everybody. It's not just me. Corrupt
Yeah.
itself, it was one thing, but like I said, when you're talking to your team drivers and their family, the family issues they're going through, you
Yep.
know job issues they're going through, health issues they're going through. You're not just always talking about RC trucks. So
Yep.
um that leniency or that give in there, you're no longer a team, you're a family. Take care of yourself. If you don't feel like you're going to come back to RC after you get better, let me know, then we'll talk about that. But
Yep.
in that time, if you're still a presence, if you're still talking, if you're still helping, that's a big factor in it, and that's
Yep.
fine.
Yeah. You don't
Get
have to
yourself
comp.
right. Exactly, get yourself right, get your family right, get your health right. That's fine. If you're ready
Yep.
to come back, you're ready to come back. You're always allowed to wear the jersey until said
Yep.
otherwise, basically.
Yeah. Yeah. Until I tell you to turn that motherfucker back in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
It would
um
take an act of God to do that, but
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. That's like I said, it's you're not building a team of people to go out and just destroy a competition. You're building a family to go out and have a good time. And
Yeah.
that's
Eh,
it's hard to find a lot of times.
it's and the thing about it is like I don't want to sponsor people. I want to build a partnership with people.
Yeah.
Let's let's work together.
Yeah, exactly.
Um, and it turns into a relationship, turns into a family, turns into much more than just a name on the internet, which
Yeah.
is what it started as. But I mean, even if you don't meet all these people in person, it's you still know a whole lot about them, from their families to their work to whatever.
Everything. And and you wake up, it's funny, the team chat, Krupp wakes up every morning and everybody says good morning.
Yep.
And
Yep.
everybody wakes up at a different time, different areas. Good morning, good morning, good
Yep.
morning. And that's a huge thing. Everybody just let you know your presence. And a lot of times if my guys are or women are absent, April, I hear you, I see you. But if if anybody's absent for a while, hey, I'll tag them. Hey,
Yeah.
April, you
Where you
doing all
at?
right? You good? Check
Yeah.
in with me. And we do that a lot
Yeah.
just to make sure everything's and everyone's okay. And
Yeah.
that's
My
just
favorite is we're East Coast time and Eastern time, and I've got team drivers in Hawaii, so it's like 1 p.m. and these guys are like morning. I'm like, Morning.
Yeah.
I ate lunch 2 hours ago.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, they're
we've
like
got,
it's 6:30 here.
right. Yeah. Robert Scale Rat does that all the time. We're midday lunch and he's like, good morning, everybody. And I'm like, what do you mean, good morning? We've been
Yeah.
rolling for a while.
Yeah.
But
There's one question here I want to answer real quick before it ends up off the
yeah.
screen, and they're asking about the Oracle chassis and asking if we raised the skid plate height. So our Oracle chassis is based off the SCX10 Pro, and the skid plate area is raised about 6 millimeters from factory, but it is flattened out instead of being at a 6-degree angle from, which is what the standard angle is on the Pro. So it is raised a little bit, not a lot, but a little bit, just because we needed more room when flattening out the belly. We had to raise it up to keep the same height, basically the same clearance underneath the chassis.
Nice. There you go, RC Performance Mods.
Yes, sir. There you go. So over the last 12 months, I'm sure you pay attention to the analytics as much as I do, and maybe you don't pay direct attention to analytics, but I'm sure you know in the top of your head, what is your best-selling product of the year?
Of the year, I would say,
and that's either by volume or by revenue or whatever.
I'm trying to think. I would say the Jekyll and Hyde is probably topping the charts right now, and that's just because they were offered in such a large kit, I guess you could say.
Okay.
But the Reaper is always consistent sales. That's what I was trying to figure out, the consistent sales of the Reaper compared to the massive growth of the new Jekyll and Hyde. But the Jekyll and Hyde was definitely well welcomed into the community. I was scared because the community
as a big
whole,
kit.
Yeah, it's a big kit, and the community as a whole has kind of drifted away from being able to tune, build, figure themselves out.
That's my next statement here.
Yeah. And
so our best selling is the Pace Setter, which is the bolt-on angled skid SCX10 Pro chassis. and you haven't really dived into the bolt-on option part or upgrade for factory type chassis or factory type builds like we have. We did the Pace Setter and the Oracle for the SCX10 Pro, and we have the Hardline and the Flatline for the Vanquish VRD trucks.
Yep.
And but I agree with you. The community as a whole has shifted more towards a bolt-on upgrade or a bolt-on option part rather than building a whole kit. So when you release that whole entire, that's a lot for somebody to sink their teeth into if they aren't, if they're not super comfortable with building a kit.
For 100%. And
Wesley and I kind of are trying to bite into people's comfort a little bit. Mm-hmm. So when you start off with an SCX10 Pro or a Vanquish VRD, you can build the truck per the instructions and it works fantastic. I like both of those trucks. But maybe you don't like it 100%. Maybe you want to change something. Then you start jumping into, okay, I can change the shocks, or I can change the chassis, or I can change the transmission, or I can change the skid plate. And you take little nibbles at your comfort level. And then you get into something where you end up with a full, chassis build or a full kit build like what you have. Correct. So you kind of just stair step them up into that.
Yep.
And so it's actually kind of polarizing to hear you say that whole kit was your best selling product when ours was a bolt-on type of thing. That's pretty interesting.
That could be too, because I don't offer the full just bolt-on. So what maybe the sales probably could have surpassed it if I did. But right now, and it was funny because we just discussed this yesterday in the team chat. Is Corrupt has always been put into that builder area of the hobby, like you said.
And
Never
we always were too until recently.
exactly. And we were at the very beginning. The Land Shark and the Battle Axe were a bolt-on kit for the SEX 10 or the 10-2 and the 10.
Right.
And then we ventured from there and just kept doing our own thing. And then, obviously the Reaper came out, which was like a Swiss Army knife of chassis. We've got 14 to 15 different skids back here for every transmission, and you could build it whatever way you was. But at that point, people got so overwhelmed with what do I go with, what T case, what forward motor mounter, what transmission, what links and all that. It was just so overwhelmed. There was always the same thing in the background where you just need to make a kit. Well, the people that were asking that, the 10 people that asked it, every kit was completely different. They wanted it for a capper axles and a deluxe trans, and then the other one wanted it for AR-45s and
TRX4 axles and
exactly. So I was like, and I kept trying to explain that to people. I was like, you guys don't understand. If I made a kit for everything that you guys wanted, it would be 500 different kits, and I can't stock 1,000 different links, and and so we tried to make that as easy as possible on what to choose. I have builders blogs up. I've got videos explaining, and people just don't want to take the time. And it's the same way with what you were saying when you look at the numbers. So when I look at my YouTube channel of a video describing how to build the Reaper chassis in the most popular ways, the typical attention span is 1 minute and 54 seconds.
A couple of minutes. They find the piece that they need. They find that little bit of information they need, and they watch that, and it is what it is.
Exactly. So I can look and it tells me the average time that somebody watches that video, no matter how long it is. So it'll tell you 70% of the time they only watch 2 minutes worth or something. So when we released the Jekyll, and I think that's why it was so popular with us, is because it was the full kit. So nobody had to think anymore of what they needed to get. They said, okay, it needs F10 axles and it needs shocks. Everything else is pretty much there other than electronics. And that's what they did. But
it was as bolt-on of a kit as you could potentially make it.
Yeah. And that also entailed me actually having to dive in more when it came to messages or emails, because you get a lot of people that say, I want to get into the comp scene. I heard the Jekyll and Hyde is very good. I see it's a full kit. And then I have to ask them, like, have you built anything before? Because if you haven't, you're going to be miserable building this kit.
Yes,
you're going to be so
have
mad.
A hard time.
Yeah, exactly. And, a lot of people don't understand that you have to really dig in, and we're not asking those questions to be complete jerks. We're asking those questions to save you the headache down the road, because it's not an easy kit to build.
Let's save each of us 25 messages and just get right to the point.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and I did add that option on there that I could build it for you, or I could build the trans and the TKs for you. I mean, but it takes time. It takes me sitting down to do that, and unfortunately, you have to pay for it. So.
Yeah, well, and I see G Speed's now offering pre-cut bodies for his G-Shot kits, which hats off, because
I wouldn't
the
want
amount
to do
of
it.
cutting, the amount of cutting involved in that. No, thank you. I don't want to do it.
I seen it and I was like, wow, no, thank you.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, because as soon as I would cut one perfect, I'd ship it out, and they'd be like, well, it doesn't fit my shocks, and I'd be like, well, I don't know what to tell you. Is your chassis bent or something, or
Yeah, what did you build wrong? Because this is templated.
Exactly. And that's always the worst part,
RC Performance Mods had a follow-up question for the Oracles, asking if I tried portals on the Oracle. Yes, the AR-45s work fantastic on AR-45 portals work fantastic on the Oracle. In fact, Wyatt from Horizon Hobby, when he was running his Oracle, he had swapped 2 AR-45 portals in Class 1, but he was told that he needed to be running an axial chassis, so he had to
Yeah, he'll get in
Do
trouble with that one.
he had to do some grinding on a factory chassis to make it work for him. But anyway, yes, AR-45 portals work fantastic. I personally run F10 portals. I think the housings are quite a bit stronger, and it's pretty easy to get some really good steering out of them. So
that's why
I
we
have yet
built most of our kits for the F10s. I mean,
yeah, I've yet to break an AR. Or I have yet to break an F10 portal housing in like 2.5 years now.
same.
And I've broken many AR-45 portal housings. So
Yeah, I mean, and I've ground on my F10 housings quite a bit, like
yeah, the
rounded
very
sharp
first thing I
edges
do,
and- yeah.
very first thing I do is cut the steering stops off them,
Oh,
and
100.
then when you're running, a zero offset or a narrow set of wheels, I take the top two portal screws out of the front and
Yep.
and cut the portal cover. You don't have to grind the axle at all. You have to cut the top of the portal cover off.
Yeah,
And then the portal cover is only held on with the bottom three
three.
screws.
Yeah,
Yeah. So you got 3 out of 5, and then the rear, you do the same thing, but it's just one top screw. So
it's the top one. Yep. Yeah, originally
Yeah.
I tried like the button heads, and I still couldn't get it there, and I was like, "Nah, you're coming off."
Yeah, just cut it off.
Yep.
Yeah. So we've talked about your best-selling product. What is your least favorite product that you sell? Whether it be something that takes the most amount of time for the return, or something that takes the most amount of manual labor, or just a product that you're like, man, I wish I could just discontinue that, but too many people
Yeah. Let's
still
see.
want it.
I did. I don't sell them anymore, but it was probably the most, which was like the 2-2 beadlock rings or 1-9 beadlock rings. Cutting those out and countersinking every hole and every beadlock.
Yep.
The amount of just material wasted from making a beadlock ring, because even a 2-2 after the cut, you really can't get a whole lot inside of the circle
No.
of what it is. And even if you did, then you got to put tabs or whatnot so it doesn't fly or go anywhere. It's just typically
Yep.
tiny. So beadlock rings were a massive headache when I would have to just sit there and cut sheets and sheets and sheets of them.
And there's really not a good way to nest them either, because
no.
they're big, and the circumference is big, and the bit you're using to cut them is reasonably big, and there's waste in the center of them. So yeah, I don't disagree with you there. Beadlock rings do suck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say that my biggest pain in the ass was the TRX4 link sets.
Oh yeah, links. Yeah, so I have never really bent links other than the Jekyll, the Katana, and things like that. But literally just making link sets for random purchase, that is not my gig. That's for sure. But it is a downfall when it comes into selling chassis, though, too.
Yeah, so we were doing those TRX4 conversions with our skid plate that bolted to an SCX based chassis, and then it required different links. So I was having to, manually heat and bend Delrin links and manually center drill and tap Delrin links, and it was one of those things where I'm like, man, I would do 10 sets at a time, and by the time I was done with those 10 sets, I'm like, I hope these never sell.
They'd be gone in 2 days.
Yeah, and then
and then you're like, God, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, either that or they'd be in stock for a month, and then the last set would sell, and 7 minutes later you get an email. When are these going to be back in stock?
Every time. Every
damn time, dude.
Every time. Hey, are you gonna get any more of these back in stock? I literally just sold the last 5 yesterday. Give me a.
I haven't even shipped them.
Yeah, right. I haven't even looked to see what I need to order right now.
Yep. Yeah, I haven't looked at yesterday's orders. I know they're out of stock, but give me a minute.
Every time. Yeah. And it could be, and the worst part is, and God love it, and I love everybody, don't get me wrong, but God love purple, because as soon as something purple sells out, it's a message, it's an email, it's a text, it's something, everything. And I'm like, look, yeah, Like I would tell them, I'm like, look, I just had 60 of those in stock. They're gone. I don't know what. And they're like, well, you should have ordered more. Well, yeah, well, you fat in my pocket and give it to me then, because Lord knows
Yeah.
I can't order that much. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. And man, it's almost impossible to judge what's going to sell and what's not. So especially when you're dropping a new product,
Yeah.
It could sell 10, 20 pieces in 10 minutes, or it could sell nothing for 2 days, and there's no way to judge it. So for us smaller guys to put $5,000 out for something,
Yeah.
and it either doesn't sell and you go, oh shit, like,
Yeah. Now this is gonna sit.
yeah,
Yeah.
or it goes boom, gone, and then you get a flood of messages going, what the hell, you need
Yeah.
to stock more, dude, I had 100 of them.
Exactly. Like, you didn't even have enough. They're gone in 2 hours. You're like, no, I
Yeah.
did. I promise. I did. I had a
Yeah.
ton.
Yeah, I thought I
Yeah.
did anyway.
Yeah.
RC Performance Mods, thank you very much for that. We try to just be normal, positive people.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's funny when people say that, when we go to events, Brett, I know you get it too, they're like, oh, I'm so happy to meet you. I'm so, I've been waiting to meet you and all this. And I'm like, look, man, I'm just a normal guy sitting in a basement of the house. Nobody's special. Relax. We're just here to have a good time.
But absolutely thankful for it too, though.
Yes, absolutely. Like I said, you can't be more blessed than, what I've come across with everybody. It's amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. So as far as merchandise, I just actually placed an order with a local shirt company. Normal, yeah, Theron, thanks. Normal people.
Yeah.
Normal. I just placed an order again with a local company. I try to use local companies to do shirt orders and things like that. I know who you use for that stuff, but how do you feel about stocking all of that stuff versus maybe using a fulfillment center like Teespring or something like that?
Yeah, so stocking shirts, hoodies, hats, things like that, it really comes down to what it does for me, at least, is our stock is what's left over from events, because your shirts, your hats, your hoodies, your backpacks, your duffel bags. I mean, we have all that. Dickie work shirts. I have all that right behind me. All that is typically left over from events because that's the only place you typically sell them. T-shirts are easy to ship. Hoodies are a little harder to ship because they're heavy. Hoodies are just heavy. Hats are not the funnest thing to ship because you have to be in a box that can't be crushed or anything like that. So typically a decent size priority box is that. And then if they buy a chassis with it, then it throws me for a loop because I can fit a chassis in this box and I can't put a hat in it. Then I can put a hat in this box and I can't put a chassis in it. So that stuff, stocking it doesn't move when it's on the site unless you put it on sale or you just blow up the internet with posts about it here, this, and this. So it slowly moves, but for events, it's definitely necessary. But I like cool swag. These were a very limited release here. Everybody asked for white hoodies because all we would do is black or a darker color because it's corrupt. That's what we are. Black, red.
Well, it's because I work in a shop and I can't have white shit.
Exactly. Right. And
I handle carbon fiber all day. I can't have white.
Yeah. That's just putting my arm in the 3D printer right there. That's it. I mean, bam, got something on it right away. So it's stocking that stuff is tough because it's just money that sits. You do get a lot of requests for it. Hats, you get a lot for, and then it's always seasonal. They want trucker hats or they want the fitted hats, and then winter comes, they want beanies and they want hoodies, and a lot of people don't realize it just costs so much money.
Yeah, so that's where a fulfillment service could or whatever be beneficial for your normal small volume. I want a tumbler, or I want a 3x tall hoodie, or something like that you wouldn't even normally stock to begin with.
Yeah.
But then it adds another thing that you have to maintain and another thing you have to think about. So it's one of those things like, where do you stop?
Yeah, and everybody always wants something different. Everybody is always after the limited amount, that type deal. Oh, you only made 5 of those hoodies, but I see they're sold out. I want one of those, and you're like, I can't just have a hoodie made. To where my problem with it is, and it's always been anything with me when it came from hot rods or it came from painting cars to RC cars, is I have to be able to see the product before I'll release it with my name on it. So
Yeah.
doing something from a promotional company, we've got a couple local here too, like that do the tumblers and things like that. I don't know what's being sent to them unless I get one and I'm like, okay, that quality's good. But at the same time, okay, if somebody orders one, it gets shipped to them and it looks really bad, I'm like, that's not the quality I want to sell with my name on it. I'm sorry about that. And then you got to go through the whole process of either getting it replaced or figuring it out and that type of deal. So,
Yeah, and I don't disagree with you there too. So
yeah. So we've always had
Um,
great experience with Ray from Sidemine. So
yeah,
we just keep using him for sure. He's a great guy. He gets it done, and it looks great. He doesn't put out a bad quality. So
yeah, I've talked to Ray a couple of times on the interwebs. I've never done business with him personally yet, but I went the other route and bought, I went ahead and bought a printer and
nice.
laminator and cutter to do stickers in house instead of farming them out, because
Yep.
I paid too many people to fuck them up in different various ways,
Yep.
and not that Ray would have, but my wife's a graphic designer,
Nice.
so I know that when I'm sending a file, it's ready for them to use. Right?
Yeah.
And then when you receive something back that is not what you sent or what you were expecting or what you paid thousands of dollars for thousands of stickers for, I just decided, I'm like, you know what? If anybody's going to fuck them up, it might as well be me.
Yeah.
And if I want to make a quick little sticker sheet for an individual chassis, like the hardline and flatline chassis, I send a sticker sheet with those, with just the little logos for those on them. I can print those in quantities of 25, 30 at a time, and it takes 10 to 15 minutes. I don't have to call somebody and order them and wait and get them shipped, and then they're wrong or something dumb. Like, I decided to go that route. But as far as like shirts and hats and hoodies, I'm not.
Yeah. It's
not
a lot.
doing that. Like,
it is a lot. I'm telling you. It's not, like I said, it's not cheap, because as soon as you have something cheap done, nobody buys it. I mean, this last run that I did with Ray, I did hoodies, I did Dickie work shirts, I did Carhartt jackets, I did some other stuff. And when people go to buy, say, the full zip Carhartt jacket, they're like, "Why is that thing $100?" I'm like, "Do you know how
because the
expensive that is
jacket
to go
was
buy it?"
75.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was like, "Once you go down to your local store and try to just buy
Yeah.
that jacket and then pay somebody to put your logo and all that on it and then ship to me," I was like,
And
"There's
then me
not a
ship
whole
it to
lot of
you.
profit there. Trust me."
No, there's really not. And then the fact that you're having to stock it and put your money out there for, the potential of 6 to 9 months, depending on the season when they come in, or, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But
So
stickers I've never had good luck with, to be honest with you. There's a couple
as far as
companies
selling,
no, not selling, just having somebody dependable making a decent amount of stickers. Stickers have always been a problem. And this is, anybody listening, this is 100% guaranteed money. If you spend money on a printer and a laminator and you want to sit there and design stickers, and you would not be able to make them quick enough for the companies in this hobby.
That's why I bought my own. Yep. I
Yep.
couldn't depend on them to get them done in time. So I ended up doing them myself. So if you need small batch stickers done, let me know. I can do them. But I just finished up a batch of like 2,000 stickers for a playground company in Ohio. that needed them, like age tag stickers or whatever.
Yeah.
They needed them like ASAP, and I don't know how they even found me, but whatever.
Okay. Yeah. But
Um,
yeah,
that dumb guy says, get in with Bunker Branding. I believe they do made-to-order screen printing. They do, but they deal with big YouTubers, not small YouTubers.
you got to be
They-
at a level before they
Yeah.
talk to you.
Yeah, and I watch those guys' videos all the time, off the ranch and demo ranch and whatever. I watch those
For
videos
sure.
myself. So definitely seem like really cool dudes. I'd love to meet them at some point, but we aren't. They're up here. We do things down here.
Yeah. The RC hobby in our eyes is huge. But when it comes
Yeah.
to the rest of the world, it is way down here. Trust me.
Yeah.
When
Yeah,
you start
you're big
looking at,
YouTubers in the RC community. I don't think you've seen the number of subscribers I have.
Yeah.
It's not real high.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, it's not easy to get subscribers on YouTube. You know.
No, it's not. But on the other side of things, like I would love to make more content as far as videos and breaking down trucks and build tips and actually going and driving the trucks. But god dang, I'm so busy, I ain't got time for it. Like,
And that's the main thing. I mean, to the right of me, you guys can't see it here. I mean, there's $12,000 worth of video equipment right here to do videos for YouTube and all that. And at the old office, I started getting into it and trying to do them. But after you get everything there to set up a video to say build something or build the transmission or in the T case of the Ninja or Jekyll. So you do the video, you do your videotaping and all that, and then you got to go sit at your computer for another 2 hours editing it, and then making a thumbnail, uploading it, and all that. And I mean,
that's assuming you didn't have to film it 3 times because you said something wrong.
Exactly, or you're just like, ugh, you know. So
Or you hate your own voice.
Yeah, right. Changing color tones and everything, but at the end of the day, when you make a video like that, if it's a 7-8 minute long video, it's taking you 7 hours to get it all done and ready to make sure it's good to go on there, and then you upload it, and then they watch 2 minutes of it, and then they send you a question that is answered in the 3-minute mark because they didn't want to continue watching it. So it really it's an irritating thing to spend that much time on it, knowing you answered it and you're like, it's in the video. And then they come back, no, I just watched it again. It's not in the video. And then you got to send them a timestamp. Like, no, it is. It's right
here. No, here's actually what it is.
Yeah.
So we're Wesley and I are absolutely killing it in the revenue YouTube revenue game for the month of December. For the month of December so far, we've got $5.39.
Wow. Whew. Boy.
Slaying it.
Slaying good. Yes.
Yeah. So that really makes it seem worth making, spending an entire day.
Yeah. I mean, and it really does. Like you said, it'll put you behind. So you spend 7 hours making the video to help everybody out, and now you didn't get a chance to ship those orders out unless you stay up super late or you stay at the office late. Or at the shop, and then all of a sudden, they still don't want to watch it. So you're still answering the messages and the text and the emails that you've already tried to answer to make it easy. And all of a sudden, I look at it and I'm going, "Why did I just spend 8 hours to make that video when they're not even going to watch it?" It drives me nuts. And then you still have to answer the questions.
So I just end up quoting TRD Adventure videos and saying, "Hey, he built this on this day. Just check that out."
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've hung out with him a couple times during his live videos and stuff. Great videos. Great person to subscribe to for sure.
Yeah, so I can find a couple hours, 2 hours on a Monday night to hang out and bullshit and whatever, but to try to leave during the day. And I don't know about your terrain around you, but I don't have terrain around me. I have to drive a couple hours to really get anything worth filming at. Like, there's a couple of spots around here I can test at, but like to try to film a video at anywhere local to me just isn't.
Yeah,
it doesn't.
It's not an easy task.
Yeah. So I have to drive a couple hours. So it ends up being an entire day thing where I don't know. I know you do some chassis cutting and everything in house. Are you doing all that in house now, or are you still using somebody
No, I
else too?
still have some people help me out on some of the larger orders.
Okay.
When I have to cut 60, 70 sheets to bring all of the quantity of the stock back up, I just can't do that on my little, I mean, it's not little by any means, but it's not a 4x8 sheet either. So,
Right.
but yeah, no, I still reach out to some people to help cut, but we definitely have our CNC in the garage that we do prototyping or we keep stock up if we have all that here, which we definitely have probably 30 to 40 sheets of carbon in stock up in the garage on the shelf. So, and
Yeah.
that's the only bad thing too about having so many color choices is just so much more stock you have to keep, and it's crazy.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that was like another thing talking back at people like, oh, if it went out of stock, they send you a message and you're like, well, I have 160 of those chassis still in stock. They're just not of that color you're wanting. Could you
Yeah.
pick another color? And they're like, no, I've got to have that. You're like,
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. So, and I still do all of the carbon and G10 in house here. I don't have anybody helping out. So, if I take a day to go crawl,
Yeah.
realistically, that puts me 3 or 4 days behind because I typically only put in inventory what I can manufacture in a week
Yeah.
with the material I have on hand. So I kind of try to gauge, like, the pace setter sold X number last week. I'm going to have that number in stock this week, plus or minus, 5 to 10 chassis. And
Yeah.
then this one, I'll have 5 or 6 in, or whatever. And as long as I have enough material to handle those orders or those stocking things,
Yeah.
then when an order comes through for a whatever chassis, I just cut it on demand. So I don't have 100 chassis on the shelf like other people do. I have sheets of carbon ready to go on the machine,
Yep.
and then I just work through the daily orders every day.
Nice. That's a lot. That's a lot. That's time consuming for sure. I mean, we when we first got the CNC, that was our original thought was to okay, as soon as something comes in, we'll cut it, or we'll cut 5 of those chassis to have them there and all that, and then we'll just try to keep that in stock. But Krupp grew so fast, so quick. I couldn't do it along with all the other parts, keeping them in stock, ordering, and all that. So it came to the point where I was like, hey, I need some help to at least get a bulk stock in to give me that time to keep up with everything. And
Yeah,
but yeah, like we definitely still cut as much as we can in house, as much as possible. But at the same time, stocking every color of every chassis is an astronomical amount of stock to keep or try to keep up with. So
yeah, that's definitely a lot.
yeah, I think
Um,
let's see, one, two, three, four, five, six, 7, 8. So
nope,
yeah,
nope.
right. And that's Reaper, Jekyll, Ninja, Katana, and Razor's Edge, all 8 colors.
Nope.
Yeah. So it's a extremely large amount to try to keep in. And when we originally first started doing colors, it was just like the silk weaves, and it was like a blue, a green, and a red. And then we would just do those as a limited run here and there, and then
And
everybody
that's
else
what
started
that's what
getting.
I use them as. Yeah.
Yep. And then everybody else started trying to get them in and keep them in stock. So then we were getting messages, well, I want it in this, and I'm not going to get it until you get them in those. And you hate to lose a sale, but at the same time, when we were so new, you're like, I was like, oh, I don't want to lose that sale. But now looking back at it, I should have been like, I'm sorry,
Yeah. Look, one guy or me and Wesley, but so we have a unique set of challenges also because Wesley's in Texas and I'm in Indiana. So he handles the 3D printed parts. He handles the aluminum and steel stuff, where I do the carbon and G10 and Delrin and whatnot up here. So, like today, over the weekend there were a couple of orders that were international orders that ordered stuff that he normally handles and stuff that I normally handle. So it's like, okay, now we have to ship to each other first
Yeah.
before we can ship it to somebody else, which typically we ship things back and forth to each other and have things in stock. But it just happened that this time, these particular things, neither of us had both parts or whatever parts to fulfill an order. So that's a challenge. And shipping costs internationally have not gotten any cheaper. I'm sure you're 100% aware of that.
Yeah.
I shipped a chassis to like Bucharest last week, and it was like $35 for regular, like USPS flat, regular international.
Yeah.
Not like priority mail, just regular international mailing. I'm like, whew.
Yeah, that's that became a big factor with us because we lovely or awesome enough. We had a very large following in New Zealand. You know, we have a decent following in Japan now, which is really cool. And from player Iceland, there was a couple of them. So when it came down to the point to where people were paying $30 for, like you said, the slowest you could go in USPS. So we were shipping that, and then all of a sudden they were losing them, and then they weren't showing up, and they were costing us money to ship it back out again. And of course, I'm not going to charge the customer shipping again. And so when it came down to that point, I just made everything international shipping wise DHL because they had the best track record with me international. And yes, is it quite expensive? But, and it's the craziest thing. I mean, I worked for FedEx for 8-9 years, and FedEx, in my eyes, was king dog here in the United States. That's because I worked for them. DHL is something phenomenal on the other side of the world. Out of the States, they are incredible because I can have it picked up here, and it'll be delivered to clients in Japan in 3 days. I mean, and it's that fast every time. So I opened up a DHL account for shipping, and obviously they give you discounted rates. I pass what I can down to the customers. It's all my accounts logged in, so what they're paying is what I'm paying. And it might not be a lot of discount, it might not be any, but I have never lost anything through DHL. Nothing's never not showed up, and nothing's been damaged, and it's been there quick. So
I did call and talk to a DHL rep last year because ever since the beginning of COVID, we stopped doing international shipping for a long time because it was taking months for stuff to show up, if it showed up at all. I don't want that for a customer. But unfortunately, there was nothing I could do about it, right? Because you purchased a product, I shipped a product, I gave you the tracking number.
Yep.
You can see exactly what I can see.
Yeah.
I'm sorry that it hasn't made it yet, but
and you also seen that it moved from me. That was always the big thing. I'm like, look, once it's out of my hands, I have no control over it. You can see it made it to Minnesota, and then it made it to JFK, and then now I don't know. That's it. And then people were always like, well, you're scamming. And I'm like, how am I scamming? You watched it. Like, it's moving.
Yeah. But I'm not interested. I wasn't interested in having customers upset about it. So I turned that off for a very long time, probably 3 years. And just this year, we turned it back on. And it hasn't been as big of an issue as I expected it to be. I think things have gotten more back to normal.
That's good.
But it's still expensive, and I hate. I think I have international shipping as a flat rate on my website at like $22.50 or something like that, and it's pretty rare that it's any cheaper than that for me to actually ship it. And plus the box, plus the label, plus my time getting it to UPS or USPS or whatever. So usually international we kind of eat shit on a little bit.
Yeah, it's it's not cheap, that's for sure. And then
Yeah.
luckily doing just knowing that everything international goes DHL with us. I get, the boxes from DHL and then but you have to sit there. I mean, you got to sign 3 invoices, you have to put in the packing slip, you have to make sure all that paperwork's right because if it makes it to the customs either leaving the country or entering the country it's going to, if something's wrong, it's done. They don't care about you. It's just going to sit or it's going to
Yeah.
randomly come back in 4 months and you got a
So
customer asking.
that's why ultimately I did not go with DHL, was because of all of the additional
Oh, yeah.
manual labor, really. Because right now I use ShipStation and it's integrated into the website, so everything it's easy. Click, click, click. Label ships out. Label prints out. I stick it on a box and it's done.
Yeah.
But with DHL, there was extra
Yeah. There's definitely extra work.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. And it's like that even like I'll agree with you. It's like that when I do it here. And it was different at the office. I could set up a pickup for DHL and they would be that day to pick it up. But now I'm finding out here at the new house, more out in a rural area, DHL is not really out in this area all the time. So when I set up a pickup, it might set up a pickup for that day, but they might not come till 3 days later because they're not out in this area till 3 days later. So
Yeah.
I called and talked to my rep, and then she told me the same thing. She said, well, they're not always out in that area, so they'll keep pushing that pickup back until they have something out in that area to come pick it up. And, I kind of told her, I was like, well, this is a business. These are orders that are purchased. People would expect them to be done in a timely manner. And
Yeah.
a talking, I guess, apparently with the manager in this area, they said they never push it back more than 5 days. So no matter if they're in this area or not, they come on the 5th day if they haven't been in this area. So,
Which, I mean, while that's not the ultimate goal, I mean,
yeah,
anything that's actually left your hands within 5 business days is.
yeah. I like I told her, I said I can't be mad about that because yes, I wouldn't want to send my driver all the way out there for a 1-pound box, that's shipping. But at the same time, when you're looking at a $60-$70 shipment price,
Yeah.
like, okay, come on now.
Yeah. I had some G Speed 24 hours later and reasonable cost, trying to get some local importers to ship to Blaine, Washington. That's Washington, where their orders get picked up and pay them a bit more. If yours is 22 US.
To Canada?
Well, it's $22 to Canada, $22.50 to Canada, and that's pretty much what it costs me to ship to Canada. I don't usually lose money to Canada, but I'm not getting rich shipping stuff to Canada.
Yeah.
Shipping in the U.S. domestically, shipping a chassis normally for me is anywhere between like $8 and $11, depending on where it's going. Plus the price of the box, which we order our boxes from Uline. I'm sure you do as well, or similar.
Yep.
So when you buy boxes in bulk like that, we pay like about $1 a box is what it comes out to. $1.
80 some cents a box or something like that.
Yeah, it's by the time you add packing foam or whatever, it ends up being $1, $2 a box, plus the price of shipping. So even if we're charging $10 domestically, we're not making any money doing that.
No. Then you add on your shipping labels and everything too.
Yeah.
All that adds up, and a lot of people don't realize. When you open up the box and you pull a chassis out and you throw everything else away, what you just threw out is $3 of our money. So when someone goes, "Well, I could ship that for $7, but you're charging me $10," well, that's because I've got 10 in it. That's because it costs you $7 to ship it and it costs me $3 to package it. So I could either add it into the chassis or it'll be on top of shipping.
Yeah. So then you think about well, this is a whole different topic, but the knockoffs and import stuff that, how on earth is anyone over there making a single penny?
I have no idea.
Because
I
to
don't
get
know how they run their machines that cheap, let alone the material, the labor to even. I mean, you
okay,
know
so
more than anybody, like with your Tormac, after you CNC something, even to sit there and blow it off and clean it off, deburr it, or anything like that, all that
yeah.
takes time. Now do that times 100 parts. That's a lot of money.
So let's use these carbon fiber Amazon chassis as an example. They're shipping these things. You can buy a bullshit chassis on Amazon for $20, $22 shipped to your door.
Yeah.
If I got the material for free, I still couldn't manufacture that thing and ship it for $22. Nor would I want to.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I mean, when you start looking at just the bits, the machine time,
yeah,
everything, it's not there. The money's not there
yeah.
to do it. So I don't know if they're cutting their stuff out of scraps from a previous job or something like that. I don't know how they make any of that money or make any kind of profit off of it, especially if
Well,
it's shipping from overseas.
well, it all came from overseas to begin with.
Yeah.
So before you purchase it on Amazon, 2 to 4 people have had to make money on it, right?
Oh, yeah.
The manufacturer had to make money on it. The shipper getting it from overseas to the U.S. had to make money on it.
Yep.
The person that imported it and is selling it on Amazon has to make money on it. And Amazon has to make money shipping it to you. So there's 4 people right there that had to make money on that 20-something dollars.
Yeah.
How did all 4 people make anything? Was that part free?
Yeah, it's a $1 part at that point. I have, like you said, I don't know where any room is in there on that. And unfortunately though, a lot of people in the hobby find out the hard way is you get what you pay for, and it is that. And some people might have a different experience with it and some people might not, but I know you get it probably as much as I get. I bought this chassis, it broke, and they won't replace it. So someone sent me to you because I was told you have a great customer service. So I want a chassis from somebody that backs their product. And
Yeah.
Brazen, Corrupt, I know 100% are some of the best companies that back their products no matter what.
Yep.
And when it comes down
Hell,
to it,
even if what you did to break it was 100% your fault, as long as you tell me the story, I'm sending you another one.
and you know what? And I ask people that all the time. I'm like, how big was the fall? Oh, it didn't fall. Like, come on, man. I know what the chassis go through. I torture them. I know. I give them to
Yeah.
my team drivers and tell them to break them. We know what it takes to break them. Like, just be
Yeah.
honest with you. I don't like to see my parts break no matter what. I need to know why or how it broke so I can
Yeah.
fix it or update it so it doesn't do that again to
Yeah.
somebody else.
I don't care that it broke. I
Yeah,
just want to
no,
know how it broke.
exactly. I need to know where the weak point is so I can make it better. And
Yeah.
that's the main point of asking questions.
Yeah. That dumb guy said they make money on it because of the currency exchange rate. You still had to make money on it though. Like,
Still, like, four hands still have to make even the exchange rate from
so
once it hits the US, it's still within US dollars. So once
a
it touches,
buddy of mine was looking for a carburetor for a little dirt bike. He ordered a carburetor on Amazon, or on eBay, a complete carburetor for a dirt bike. $7 to his door.
Jesus, you can't even buy the needles for a typical carburetor for that.
I can't even mail it for that. Like,
It's crazy. Take us away. Yeah, that's my team driver. Yeah, Kevin.
is
Oh, he'll break it.
it?
That's for sure. He has no. It's Brett. It's off or on, off or on. That's it. There's no in between. It's go
Yeah,
or go.
yeah. Thankfully, over the last probably, I don't know, 3 or 4 or 5 years, I think I've only seen 2 or 3 broken chassis in that amount of time, and admittedly, I think all of them deserve to be broken at that point. because of what they went through.
We've probably had, a handful of them. I would say we probably had more than 5, but a lot of it
I
comes
see
down
more
to,
G10 than carbon though.
yeah. A lot of it came down to is either not properly braced or just way too much weight on the rig. When the rig weighs 11 pounds and it starts tumbling down, something's given.
Yeah.
So the 5 pounds of brass you have on the front axle is not going to give. So the flex of the carbon or the flex of the G10, it's going to find its weak point, and that's just how it is. So when you have a typical 4-pound rig, but then you put another 4 pounds of brass on it, all that leverage out on the outside just tends to always want to break something for sure.
Yeah. I have a bent up OG ATL. Can I get a replacement? I can offer you a G10 ATL V2.
There you go. Look at that.
So update you to the V2 and get you in a G10. I don't have any aluminum ones left, is the thing. So we discontinued that chassis, and I don't have any stock left of that stuff. But I can absolutely cut one for you out of a material I have on hand. I don't want to send the laser cutter a single
one
pair
chassis
of rails. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It's way more expensive to have them cut 2 rails than it is to have them cut 200.
Oh yes. And that brings up a point. I tell people all the time, even when we talk back to the purple, when they're like, well, I wanted purple. When are you gonna have it back in stock? And you're like, well, here's the deal. I just can't have my carbon manufacturer make me 1 sheet of carbon and ship it to me so I can cut you a chassis. I can have them make 10 sheets of purple for me or Galaxy. That's not a problem. But at the same point, if I'm going to put in an order to have a bunch of them made or sheets of carbon made for me, I want it to be 30, 40, 50 sheets, because that's, how I can bring some of that revenue back. Otherwise, it's just not business smart.
Yeah, it costs 40% more, 30% more to do 1 sheet.
Yep.
If you do 1 sheet or 10 sheets.
Yep.
It's the cost doesn't change a whole lot.
Nope. You really have to get up into the numbers before you start seeing a return of your purchase of that. So, like you said, 10 sheets, the price point of what you're going to be able to nest out of that sheet and make, you're going to be at the same. But in 50 sheets, that price point to what you're able to sell it at online would be where you want to be on that. So,
yeah, absolutely. Dustin asked if you can paint over a carbon chassis to get a different look. You can do a couple of different things. So you can paint candy paint or whatever over top of a carbon chassis to get a colored look to it and still see the carbon behind it. Or you can straight up paint them. Mm-hmm. I have seen some people experiment with powder coating them, and I haven't seen any issue with that, because powder does melt at a reasonably, it's like 200 and something degrees.
Yeah, I was going to say a little over 2.
Yeah, so you're well below what it would take to melt the resins that carbon's made from. But I don't know that I suggest it. I would much rather see somebody Cerakote.
Yep. They
have, especially the air dry Cerakote, or just regular rattle can paint is going to be what I would suggest doing instead. But yeah, you can absolutely keep the look of carbon with a color on top of it.
Yeah, Dustin. Yeah, I've seen a lot of people candy paint carbon for sure. And it's just going to be like anything else when you paint something. So if you get a glossy carbon and you want to candy over it, don't think that it's going to stick if you don't kind of scuff it up before you paint it. It's just like painting anything else. So give that paint something to at least bite to.
Yeah. I have a TRX4 heavily weighted. I have to take apart and hammer straight in front of the lay down servo mount. Yeah.
Oh my.
Anything's going to bend, especially, if you got a big solid metal bumper on the front and it takes a solid hit to the side or solid hit down on one corner of it, it's going to bend. Especially an aluminum chassis or a steel chassis, they're going to bend.
Yeah.
That's one of the nice things about G10 is it flexes quite a bit before it breaks. Where carbon is a little less forgiving.
Yep.
But
yeah. Dustin, I would definitely use a gray, not a red. Red's for a primer. That would be too hard, too deep of a scratch for paint.
Yeah, it's too rough.
Yep.
Too rough. Definitely gray. I do use red. I use red Scotch-Brites on the edges so like when I cut a chassis or whatever, I always, I'll stack them, 3, 4, 5, 6 chassis wide, and I'll red Scotch-Brite the edges. Yeah.
Yeah. I did. I first started out with like nail files back in the day. And I would I'd buy a bulk pack of just nail files. I'd grab one and go right down the edge. And then here recently, I've just been buying the small diamond files, and then a diamond, and just literally just basically run it right down it, and it just like butter. It's smooth as all get out. So, and that's another thing a lot of people don't realize after you cut. There is a lot of sometimes prep work to clean them up. If it doesn't
especially the silk weave stuff, especially that it hangs out the edges, and you have to hit it with a file, or you have to hit it with a file and then hit it with a flame on the edge and
burn it off.
Get that silk to melt back a little bit.
Yeah.
But if you hit it too hot, it discolors the silk underneath the carbon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Gets it hot.
You got to pay attention to it, and so it makes a bunch of extra cleanup work.
Yeah. And Kevlar, don't even try. Because you can sit there and try to burn it all day. It just glows red and laughs at you.
I made that mistake one time.
So did I.
When I first I was looking at silver carbon, actually. I was looking at silver and blue, and a sheet of carbon Kevlar popped up, and I was like, okay, that shouldn't be any big deal, So I ordered it and spent a couple $100 on a 2x2 sheet of carbon Kevlar.
Yep.
And I cut the first chassis out of it, and the very first rail I looked down at it, I'm like,
just a hairy mess. You're like, oh, come on now.
I was like, oh, okay. So that's what we're doing today, huh?
Yep. Yeah.
So I tried like hell. To clean it up and get it to be something that was sellable, and it went straight in the trash can.
Yep. It is not an easy material to cut. If you don't have a wet jet, just don't cut it. That's pretty much the only thing you're cutting it with.
Yeah, you can't. You can't do it. Can't do it without a water jet.
Yep.
Thanks, guys. I actually just discovered your live videos. I know what I'll be listening to while at work tomorrow. Thanks, Dustin.
There you go. Heck yeah.
I mean, so like I said, Wesley and I normally just do this on Mondays. We talk about inventory updates. We talk about new product that we typically will show off some stuff here before it gets
stuff.
Yeah,
we've talked about this
in working on
team chat. I know the team drivers have always asked about, why don't we just do some live feeds, or we can bring in the team drivers, people can ask questions and things like that. And we might get to that now that I'm here and it's calmed down a little bit, and hopefully be able to do something just to kind of have like a little Q&A. People always have questions. Not everybody's got the same time schedules or anything like that to talk to. So
exactly.
It's definitely fun just to get on here and chat with everybody. I don't know how many people we've had in here, but
I think there's 56 watching right now, but
nice.
It goes up and down. Some people come in, leave, come back, whatever. But
nice.
Yeah. So, another question. This came up a couple of weeks ago. I know that you had done business with In the Works before.
Yeah.
And it became a question when he decided he was going to sell the business, and we talked about it a little bit on the live stream about the thought process behind trying to sell something like this, what would go into your dollar figure? What would go into your thought process to make you actually decide to sell it? Which, by the way, those of you who are watching that we talked about it with, the sale fell through. So In the Works did not sell.
Yeah.
But we kind of talked about it a little bit, and then also kind of tying in the knockoff and whatever stuff. If you were a company like Team Garage Hack and your entire catalog has been knocked off and is available for pennies on the dollar, what would your outlook be on that? Would that be enough to get you to sell or fold, or what would you do?
To be honest with you, I don't think I'd sell. I think Krup's got enough of a following to help with that. And you know what? The worst part,
you would absolutely have to pivot though, because
100%.
You wouldn't be able to offer the same product ever again.
No, the whole lineup is gonna have to change, and it'll have to change fairly quickly. So everything that they're knocking off would now become obsolete stock. Once it's gone, it's gone. We're not going to release it again. And the sad part is it's just the reason is because you can't stop people from buying it, from them. So for you to try to compete with their prices, which you're never going to, for you to move forward, you just have to take and that would just be devastating to have that. But to know that all that work that you did is now gone, you're back to square one, and it's time to start.
They have millions, at least $1 million in inventory.
Yeah, and that's
between all of the product and all of the parts that go into the product, and
it's crazy to think that. And Team Garage Hack, and the sad part is they've done so much for the hobby and helped so many events, and gave away so much, and to see a company that's put so much effort into growing the hobby and making it better, to bringing it what it is now, to be completely devastated by somebody that's bought all of their stuff or either just completely copied it to bury them. And now basically, in my eyes, if that happened, I'd go, okay, now I'm back at square one. It would be basically Corrupt as now, just like it's starting. I have a following. I have a good set of family behind me. Let's create something that's bigger, that's better, and let's roll with it, and let's continue. But at the same time, if you got $1 million worth of inventory, we're going to have to push to sell that to be able to, proceed with the prototyping of the next ones. And a lot of people don't understand that. Team Garage Hack might have a whole book full of awesome things to release for you, but if you continue to purchase the cheaper stuff, that's not going to allow them to succeed to bring out that bigger, better product that you're looking for, that they might already have designed for you.
Yeah, and the disheartening thing was to see those posts and see the number of people supporting the knockoffs purely because of the price.
That's it. Price 100%.
And that is the only thing they cared about, was the price.
Yep.
That's it.
Yeah. And they will and they will tell you in a comment, well, why would I buy it for this price when I can get it for this? And then,
because it's not the same.
Exactly. That's the thing. And they're always go back to the same statement. It's all made on the same assembly line. Oh, it's not.
No, it's not.
No, because I know for a fact that those cases are made in Ohio. I know those gears, and this and that. And people are always like, no, they're made on the same assembly line. No, they're not. I've seen it. It's not made, Yeah. So, they maybe at one time they had ventured over there, but they're not now. Trust me. That company is supporting the U.S. So, if it's saying it's a U.S. made product, it's a U.S. made product. So,
yeah, absolutely. Now there are a few things that they still source from overseas, but
absolutely.
But it's not because they're getting them cheaper there. It's because that's where they could get them in the quantities that they needed them in the time they needed them.
Exactly.
I've seen the guts of these knockoff transmissions and cases, and the gears are, press fit onto a shaft, but the press fit is only a knurling on a shaft. It's not
Oh,
like,
really? I've never bought
yeah,
one.
it's
I have
like,
no idea. Yeah, I haven't seen it.
it's not like TGH stuff is all drilled and
Pinned.
pinned.
Yep.
So the gears inside these knockoff 2-point lows and creeper T's, it's like they made the shaft and the gear the same diameter,
Oh, and then
they just knurled the shaft and pressed it in.
Gave it
like
a bite.
I had a 17 millimeter socket sitting next to my vise, and I just tapped the shaft and knocked it out of the gear.
Wow.
So these things are going to turn into slipper clutches real fast, and people aren't going to know what to do about it. But yeah, so then you've taken this entire company with all of their knowledge and all of their support, and you've crippled them because they have no more income.
No more revenue coming in to support the needs of what
the next product.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
these guys aren't getting rich. They still work full-time jobs.
This is 100% and I've told everybody, if you want to get rich, don't make RC parts.
No.
It's not a game to be rich.
No. Dustin, you're welcome, man. I'm always here to support other people, man. That's what this hobby's all about.
Nice.
Yeah. So, I wonder, in the long game, how many other companies' catalogs are we going to see?
I don't know. I hope not many more at all. And like I said, it's not something good to see happen to a good company, and I'm not saying there's any bad companies out there, but it's just not something you want to see. I know what it takes to make a company. You know what it takes to make a company even get to that level, and the amount of work, stress, headache, design time, money, the toll it not only puts on yourself, but puts on your family, puts on your relationships, puts on everything. People don't see that behind the scenes. And yeah, you might be buying that T case for $10, but you don't know what that does to a company when you think you're the only one buying it, but then the next guy is saying the same thing. The next guy is saying the same thing. Next guy, before you know it, there's 100 guys saying the same thing. It's only one T case, but now look how much money has just been lost from the company that originally designed it.
Yeah, I mean, if you get on AliExpress or whatever, and you can see how many people have ordered, it shows you. And I don't know how accurate that actually is, but it says with the last time I looked at the knockoff 2-point lows, there was 500 or something of them sold. I'm like,
wow,
really, guys?
Crazy to think about that. I mean, think about 500 of, and typically it's probably just that color if you were just looking at that. So 500 of that item has been sold, and that means 500 of those are sitting in Team Garage Hack stock. It's 100 times better quality from a better, reputable company that's there to support you and help you if you need. And now they didn't get that money, but you're going to get it. You're going to run it. It might work for you for a month. You might say it's great, no problem, but it will fail because the design is not right. If you just told me the shaft is knurled and the gear is pressed on, guess what? When you get to gate 9 at a championship and you're about to run, that gear's coming loose, and you're going to pay for it one way or another.
You give that thing a little bit of trigger on 4S, and it's over with.
It's done. You've basically got a slipper inside your trans. Everything's spinning and nothing's moving.
Yeah.
So
Jason said they copied the G-Speed Panhard mount. They did the Panhard mount and the laydown servo mount, actually. And not only that, but they're now using G-Speed and TGH's business names in their product descriptions.
To catch the traffic.
Yeah.
That's sad. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that stuff, too, that little tiny things of just adding their name in there is what's going to bring them up in a search. And a lot of people, whether they're smart about it or not, they might not even know that they're not buying the original because it has that name in there.
So that's one of the things when a few months ago, when a bunch of the smaller websites got shut down over Traxxas copyright and trademark infringements. That's basically what their standing is if I made a brass knuckle that fits a TRX4 and I have in my description or in my title TRX4 brass knuckle and somebody buys it, then it breaks and they go after Traxxas saying that it broke, or they message or email Traxxas saying this doesn't fit. That's diluting Traxxas's name, so that's why they have to.
That's why they got upset. Yeah, because I could only imagine the amount of traffic they got in their emails and messages saying, "Well, it says it's Traxxas, but people don't read the fine print most of the time that it's made by so and so."
Yeah. Dustin. TGH said like last week, I think that they're not doing chassis anymore. They're just going to stick to what they know and what they do. So that they were having their Black Friday sale was really good for them. I think it was 40% or something like that, which is fantastic. We've talked about it last week or the week before. The unfortunate part is their sale, Black Friday sale, was more of a discount than what us dealers were buying stuff for. So we couldn't even match their sale price if we wanted to. But also, I guess if I wanted to buy a bunch of stock, I could have bought it 10% cheaper.
Yeah, and that's the thing. People, get on there and they'll want to buy a chassis, but then they want something that's on sale at, like you said, Team Garage Hack, and you're like, look, I pay more than that for it. I can't lose money on it, And then they're like, well, I'm just not going to buy the chassis then. And you're like, I'm sorry. I don't know what to tell you, I don't. And there's certain things that I just don't understand how people get so upset about. You're like, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. Doing the best I can with what I got, man.
Exactly.
Just a guy in my shop trying to make RC car parts for you guys.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you, BC Moto. We appreciate you.
Appreciate that 100%.
All right. Well, we got about 20-something minutes here left. Anybody in the comments have any specific questions, go ahead and fire them away. I think I'm just about through my list of bullshit here to talk about. Plans for next year, I guess. What would you ultimately like to see out of Corrupt for next year?
Corrupt is going to venture into the trail and the bolt-on side, just to grab that side of the hobby. We're, like I said from the beginning when we talked, we've always been viewed as more of a builder, matured comp style building chassis design type deal. If you've been in the hobby for a while, that's when you would be suggested to try to attempt a Corrupt build, because sometimes they'll just literally make you so mad you just throw them. But we gotta venture in to grab some of the trail guys, some of the bolt-on guys. Our name's out there. We have a wonderful following. I can't be happier about that. Like I said, we're more than blessed with the team and the followers and the crowd that both of us have behind us. But the comp scene is only a little bit of the hobby compared to the trail side and compared to the bolt-on side. So the trail side of the hobby is absolutely massive. So what we're going to look for is your most popular rigs that are being used for trailing, that are standing up to the abuse, the test of time, that type deal. And then we're going to see where we can make those better and put our flair onto it. Obviously, put a little attitude with the design, along with the performance, and then we'll keep it there, and try to do to get some people that are new in the hobby also able to run the name, because a lot of people, are new into the hobby, but then overwhelmed to try to venture into something like we offer now, so they stay away, and then they might venture into a different brand and never leave, and now we've lost that with them. So Corrupt will venture into the bolt-ons and the trail side, but our focus will always typically be comp side, pushing the limits as much as we possibly can within the rules for sure.
Yeah. SCX6 chassis. I'll give my stand on that first, and then you can as well.
Here's my
I don't know if you
chassis.
have. I don't know if you have an SCX6 or not, but I personally really like my SCX6 as a stock truck, and I don't see myself ever trying to compete with it. And so, if I can't put my brain or my heart into modifying something like that, the product that I end up with won't be the product that I'm happy with.
Yep.
So I don't think that I would even
venture into
fart
that.
with it. Yeah. So
24 has been like that with me and us.
Yeah.
You know, there's, and I'm not saying that it's not popular because it is vastly popular. It's huge, but at the same point, it's not around me. I'm the same. I don't have anywhere to crawl close like you know, like you said, you don't either. So there's no one around here that's running 24s, not running the decked out ones for sure on that. So for me to sit down and go, okay, I'm going to build one, not knowing what they need, what they should, and things like that is going out and testing it, not knowing if it's better than what's already out there and things like that. At the same point, I can't design it to build it, put my name on it, and then test it against nothing. So it's just the 24 scale has been like that for us. There's a lot of great companies out there that make some cool stuff for them. So we're just going to let that ride for right now.
Yeah, there's not any 24 scale stuff here. And then I go down to Crawlapalooza in Oklahoma, and there's dozens
Everywhere.
of $1,000 SCX 24s. So I'm like,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like that at Fall Crawl. Everyone's like, bring the 24 out. I'm like, I don't have one.
I don't have one. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've got one over there on the bench, but it's stock. Harley Designs Josh is getting into his 24 scale game. He called me out a little bit. He said he was asking me when Brazen was going to make a 24 scale chassis, and I told him as soon as Vanquish makes a SCX 24 size tire in their VXT2 compound.
Yeah, right.
In the red compound.
I love that.
Yeah, I do.
That what was the VT X2s or something like that?
VXT2, yeah.
Yeah, that one. I absolutely love that tire. If that tire was 4.7 tall, I would be ecstatic. But man, when I mounted those, they were huge, and I was like, God, I can't get over that. But I'll tell you what, when we were at East Coast. Yeah, that's where it was, up there at Cherokee. It was wet, and they were still wrinkling. And I was like, okay, these are awesome tires.
Josh will argue with you till he's blue in the face that they're 4.75.
Negative, sir. Negative.
Oh, man. Is Brazen going to make an appearance at Beat the Creek this May? I would love to make an appearance at Beat the Creek this May. Beat the Creek is one I haven't been to yet, and I do need to make an appearance too. It's not that far away from me. It's, I think, 6 or 7 hours away, which isn't that bad.
Yeah, no, it's not bad. Beat the Creek is, I would say it would be worth your trip. Let's just say that. You wouldn't.
I'd have to have a trail truck, I guess.
Yep.
I'll take the Ford Ice or something.
Yeah.
And the SCX6.
Last year, I think we were set up. It was like 3,000 in attendance or something crazy.
Shoo.
So vendor row was just nonstop for 3 days. And it's so cool to see everybody, coming together and enjoying it.
So that Axial Fest Badlands, if I were to go to Beat the Creek, I don't believe that I would set up as a vendor.
Okay.
Because if I want to go, I want to go. I want to go play. I don't want to stand at the booth all day. if we want to talk, if you want to talk to me, let's talk while we play tiny trucks out on the trail.
Oh, yeah.
I'd rather talk out there playing tiny trucks than talk standing across the table, right?
Yep.
I'm at the event to enjoy the event, not to be a vendor. So over the last 2 years, I think we've basically stopped setting up as a vendor at any event that we've gone to.
I got you.
We do enough e-commerce stuff that when I go to the event, I want to enjoy the event. I don't want to go there to be a business. I want to go there to have fun.
Yeah, we definitely did that a lot last year too. We set up at Fall Crawl, we set up at Beat the Creek, and I don't think we set up anywhere else. Because it's a lot of people don't realize when you set up, you don't get to leave the booth. At Beat the Creek, we're there for 3 days. I didn't even get to go out. Yeah, I didn't even get to go out and trail. I'm there to help you guys. Make sure if you have any parts broken or anything like that, I want to help and get it done and fixed. And that. But at the same time, we have to shut the whole thing down if we want to go out and trail. So yeah, and Harley, runway 4. If you find the gym. You're coming in a little hot too, by the way.
Oh man. Am I coming to ECC this year? I don't know. I'd have to look at it. I'd have to look at dates. I'd have to look and see what all's going on around when. So my wife's a planner, and she's got quite a few things going already for me next year. So I know that my June and my July are 100% full. So as long as it's not in June or July, I could potentially make it happen.
May 3rd and 4th, I think, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong on that, though. But
for ECC?
Oh, my bad. I thought we were talking about Beat the Creek. That's my bad.
No, ECC.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, I did see those dates come up. I don't remember what they were, but yeah.
I have heard a rumor that Scale Nationals may be returning.
Ooh, that'd be nice. At Cherokee? No? Oh. Somewhere else?
Someplace that I have. It's been a bucket list 1-to-1 wheeling event for me.
Are we going out at Hammers?
No, I go to Hammers every year.
I know, lucky.
No, I've heard a potential for Moab.
That would be slick. I would probably be down for that, I think. Because that's a bucket list too.
It's a 22-hour drive, one way.
I'll fly. I don't have anything to drive out of Moab, so there's no reason to drive. I
cannot go to Moab without my Jeep.
That's what I'm saying. You have something you could drive. I don't know.
But I am abso-fucking-lutely not driving my JK from Indiana to Moab, Utah. Not happening. Not a chance. I drove it to Disney, Oklahoma, and that was the worst decision I've made in like 10 plus years.
Yeah. Just ship it out there and just get it when it comes.
I think what I would end up doing is borrowing my buddy's toter home.
Okay.
I'd throw it on a trailer behind the toter home, and then I wouldn't even have to worry about getting an Airbnb or a hotel or anything. I could probably get 4 guys, 3 or 4 guys in the toter with me, and
that'd be nice.
Everybody have a bed and power and whatever, and
yep. And wherever you park is where you're at, so that's good.
Yeah. So hopefully, it happens.
If that happens, fingers crossed, I'll be able to make that for sure.
Yeah. No, King of the Hammers, that's an every year thing. Realistically though, Austin, you could do 5 days at Hammers for $500, $600.
Really?
Flying, I can fly from my hometown here to Palm Springs, California, round trip for sub $300. And then I rented a U-Haul van for 5 days. It's like a 1-hour drive from the airport to Hammers. So nice. I just rented a U-Haul. It was cheaper than a rental car.
Yeah. Huh.
And cheaper than an Uber. So
where do you stay?
U-Haul van to drive out there in the toter home.
In the toter, okay, the toter home. Gotcha.
Yeah. these guys all go. One of my buddies, Matt, he'll be out there from like January 11th to like February 5th or something like that. I'm like, I can't be gone that long.
Yeah, that's a long one. Yeah. Well, heck, he's there helping set it up then at that point.
Yeah, he's there before anything's there. So
Yeah. Wow.
yeah.
That's the only thing that gets me excited about the Super Bowl coming up is that means King of Hammers is close.
Yeah. Yeah. And Hammers is early this year too. It's the last week in January. So
we looked it up the other day. I was like, oh wow, okay.
Yeah. You have to change the Jeep gearing to get there comfortable. It wasn't the gearing it was the 11 miles to the gallon and lifted Wrangler on 37s.
Ooh, yeah.
So
yeah.
It was 08 Wrangler JK seats for 11 hours each way.
What do you mean? They're so wonderfully padded to begin with anyway.
Yeah. It's not a log wagon, I promise.
Yeah, right?
So, yeah, the Jeep would get hauled to Moab. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. There you go, Scott.
Moab in April would work out great. Yeah. So, I don't know, Austin, what the weather's doing where you're at today, but we usually touch on the weather here a little bit. This morning, about 9:30, it was 32 degrees and a bright sunny morning. And approximately 10 minutes later, it was white out and blowing and drifting snow. They were calling for 6 to 10 inches of snow today. And looking outside the shop, I think we probably got 3. Yeah, but it's blowing around so much that it's hard to say how much actually fell.
We were calling for 1 to 2 today and starting right about the same time, 10:30. It was a little flurry then at that time, but about 11 o'clock, it was pretty much a whiteout out here. It was saying crazy winds. I mean, it picked my trash cans up and threw them, and they're the big, like, Rumpke big ones. So
I can see outside the front door of the shop right now, the wind is absolutely whipping out there. That's my truck sitting inside because I'm like, I just don't even want to deal with that crap.
I don't blame you at all. Yeah, I would if I could.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm in the basement, so I can't tell anything right now.
Yeah, it's sunny and 70 down there, huh?
Yeah. Amazingly, yes, the home was built nicely to where it has a lot of insulation, even on just the concrete foundation. So that's the only wall behind me is not the exterior wall. That's the only wall that doesn't have insulation on it. So
yeah. High of 19 here in Minnesota and no snow in the forecast. Yeah, but it's gonna be 50 in like 2 days. So
exactly. We've only got 30s, I think a high of 30s for the next day or two, and then like you said, 50s again.
Yeah.
Oh, Harley, must be so bad for you.
Yeah. And Scott also. Let me tell you how bad I feel for you.
Yes. It must be so rough.
Yeah. I'm going to end up fucking around and buying property somewhere is what it's going to be.
Somewhere. And that's a cool, that's a big thing too. When you talk about crawling like Harley and all you guys get to crawl a lot longer in the season than we do. When we start getting these whiteouts and stuff, I mean, we can't go out and crawl. 50 degrees, we can go out and crawl, but your truck acts completely different than if you're out at 71 degrees. So
do you run 3D printed inserts?
I do have anti-foams in my class 2 and class 1, actually class 1, 2, and 3, but it depends on where I'm at. Now I have my CI foams in the same wheel setup, same offsets and everything ready to go in the toolbox too, no matter where I'm at. So do you
play the temperature game with the 3D printed foams?
Absolutely. Yeah. So if the conditions aren't right for the foam or for the inserts, the anti-foams, and then we might put in the CI foams, or if it's vice versa, that type deal, for sure.
See, and I don't mess with the 3D printed inserts at all. I stick strictly to my CI foams because they act the same when it's 30 degrees or if it's 75 degrees or if it's 100 degrees. So
Yeah.
that's why I haven't ventured into the insert game.
Gotcha.
Is just purely because, I mean, I guess it's really no different than shock oil, though. I mean, when you think about it.
Exactly.
But if you're already playing the shock oil game, do you really want to add
Add the
insert
tire
on
and wheel
top
game.
of?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I started running Three Brothers as when he first started his anti foams as to try it out, and that was on my class 1, and I loved it because my class 1 was also my trail truck. So even if the vented tires got soaking wet in the inside, you squeeze them and it went out, and it never absorbed water or anything like that. So that's where we started, and then my class 1 kept performing extremely well, and then I ventured into it with the class 2, and I did notice a large gain in the side hill area because the foams don't roll. The side is
Right.
stiff. They don't roll. The softness is definitely there if you take the time to tune them, but then it's right on the edge. It's like cooking a steak. It's 1 minute you could have it tuned right, and you're like, oh, I'll just take a little bit out because I think they go a little softer. And then after that, it's way too soft. Whole tire just wrinkles under and all that. To where the foams, we've done it for so long with foams, we know that's going to work with this, comp cut heavyweight centers with soft outers for the fronts, comp cut heavyweights or whatever for the rears, mediums, and you're ready to rock. Um,
Yeah,
10
I've
runs
got
on it, they're broke in and ready to go.
Yeah, I keep a set of class 1 sized foams, class 2 sized foams, and class 3 sized foams on the shelf.
Yep.
And I know they're going to act the same.
Yep. Take them out, put them in, and go. And that's, I mean, I stock a ton of CI foams. I mean, I have big totes back here full of CI foams, and I love them. I mean, no matter what, CI foams are always great. You put them in, they're ready to rock. And then when he released the heavyweight centers, I absolutely loved it even more because it helped with the side hill instead of like that gray foam. It went with the black foam. And once you comp cut soft on the front, you still have that good squish, but then you have that good side hill stiffness. And I mean, I can't say enough about Eddie and CI foams. They make a great product, and we will continue to stock them and keep what we can in stock for everybody.
My Vanquish VRD has the VXT2s, but I used the Vanquish 2-stage foams in them, and I've been pretty happy with those too.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't tried those. There's a couple definitely foams out in the game that I never tried. What was
the
Pitbull's
alt foams?
Yeah, all foams. Yep, all those. Everybody's got. I hear good things about those though too. But the printed insert game went nuts, and it still is. Everybody. Yeah. I mean, if you've got a Bamboo X1 sitting right here, I could print TPU in all different forms, and everybody's trying their own thing with them and all that. But I stick to what I know and what continues to perform. The same way with tires. It's hard for me to let go of the crawlers from Proline, but I watch Tusk and I watch the Methalistics or what, I forget what they're called, from J Concept. Yeah, that's it. It's hard for me to say, but I've seen them pull some crazy lines, and and the Vanquish tires I absolutely love. I stock them. I got them here. When I put them on the rig, it just looked too tall. It was just too much for me. But like I said, if that was a little smaller tire, it would dominate the game. I mean, it is.
I've been running the VXT2s on this VRD carbon for since I got the truck. What was that? Probably getting close to 2 months now, and the tires are feathering in nice.
Oh yeah,
they're getting good and broke in, and I'm really liking them.
Yeah, those and the Falcons look amazing too.
Yeah, I've got the.
I have the Falcons there.
Falcons on the Fordyce.
Yeah, beautiful tires.
Those work really well. Yeah. Weird size, but great tire.
Yep.
So
can't complain.
All right, well,
good products.
Yeah. So we got about a minute left here before our 10 o'clock normal cutoff. I just want to thank you, Austin, for coming in and hanging out with me for 2 hours. You didn't have to do that.
Hey, no problem, man. I enjoy it. I give time for everybody to kind of comment and throw some stuff out, and it's fun just to hang out anyway. So
Yeah. So definitely appreciate you spending your couple hours this evening hanging out and talking with us. And hopefully we can continue to work together on some things and help each other grow.
absolutely, any time I can help you out the same way, you let me know. I'm here to all support the hobby and make it grow and help anybody and everybody out for sure.
Yep, absolutely. So I think that's going to do it for tonight. Next week and the following week are both holidays, so I'm going to take 2 weeks off from live streaming. So we'll see you guys back after the holidays. So anybody traveling this weekend, next weekend, have fun, be safe, and
Yep.
we'll see you on the next go round.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, everybody.
See ya.